I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Secretary, would you please call the roll of attendance?
Thank you, Madam President. Mayor Rowland. President Percival.
Here.
Vice President Capobianco.
Here.
Mr. Bull. Absent. Mr. Costigan.
Here.
Mrs. Haynes.
Here.
Mr. Powers.
Here.
Mrs. Strobeck.
Here.
Chief Murray. Absent. Mr. Wills.
Here.
Welcome. Ms. Catania.
Here.
Ms. Stillwell. Ms. Matagi.
Here.
Mr. Karunkowitz.
Here.
Ms. Morris.
Here. Thank you. Everybody may notice that you have a little survey put on your seat. You can do this online. It's from Delaware County Planning. They're doing a basic survey of all the hazards in several municipalities neighboring us. It's for traffic safety, whether it's walking or biking, and we'd appreciate it if you would fill this out for them. And again, you can do it online. Also, the public may see a council member passing a form to the secretary, whether it's before a meeting or after a meeting or during. We're not passing notes. We're going to go back to a form that we used prior to 2 years ago. It's a abstaining form in which the council member, pursuant to the Pennsylvania Public Officials and Employee Ethic Law, will be stating the reason why they're abstaining from a vote. Moving on, has council had a moment to read the minutes from the prior meeting?
Make a motion to pass last month's meeting minutes.
Second. Any questions or concerns on the meeting minutes? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? So moved. Correspondence, Mr. Secretary?
I have a couple things. The first is from Lenai Electric. It's actually their repair report that they've sent to us. Pole number 91 at 211 East Roland has been fixed. Pole 264 at 13 East Elbon has been fixed. Pole number 50 at Forest View and Tom Sweeney has been fixed. Pole 90 at 109 West Forest View has been fixed. And pole 175 at 121 West Forest View has been fixed. These are all in the last month. If you notice any lights out, let me know and we can get a form to them. This came in this morning. It's to Parkside Borough Council. In the January council meeting, Solicitor Wills responded to my previous correspondence stating public comment is only required by the Sunshine Act at regular and special council meetings, of which the reorganization is neither. Let me stop myself here. This is from Kyle Palmer. When asked whether a reorganization meeting qualifies as a meeting under the Sunshine Act, the Pennsylvania Office of Open Records directed me to the frequently asked questions section of their website, which defines a meeting as any prearranged gathering of an agency which is attended or participated in by a quorum of the members of an agency held for the purpose of deliberating agency business or taking official action. It goes on to say that the Sunshine Act applies anytime a quorum deliberates agency business or takes official action, no matter the physical location of those deliberations or actions. Solicitor Wills points to the guidance provided by the PA Association of Boroughs for a reorganization meeting, stating that they've taken the position that public participation is not required at a reorganization meeting. PSNB is not an entity of the state, has no legal authority to dictate procedure to boroughs, and is merely a professional organization of dues-paying members. Parkside Borough Council is governed by the laws of the state of Pennsylvania, including the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. Solicitor Wills also states there is no legal precedent for requiring public comment at a reorganization meeting. However, the Court of Common Pleas of Westmoreland County agrees with my interpretation. In Mid-Mon Valley Publishing Company, LLC, doing business as Mon Valley Independent and Tina Odell versus City of Monessen, a third-class city, and Matt Shorall as mayor, number 581 of 2020, Westmoreland County Common Pleas Court, December 11th, 2020. The court held that all actions taken at the reorganization meeting of Monessen held January 6, 2020, were in violation of the Sunshine Act for failure to provide for public comment prior to taking official actions. The purpose of the Sunshine Act is to promote transparency and public participation in government. Violations are seldom punished with any substantial repercussions, and the burden lies on constituents to file costly complaints with the Court of Common Pleas in an attempt to force their government to do the right thing. Perhaps instead of paying the borough solicitor to seek out loopholes to avoid accountability, you could just do better. How can residents' voices be heard if you don't give them an opportunity to speak? Kyle Palmer.
Mr. Wells, would you like to comment?
I would be pleased to address Ms. Palmer's most recent correspondence to Borough Council. I shall begin by quoting directly from section 710.1, subsection A of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act, which provides as follows, and I quote, "A political subdivision shall provide a reasonable opportunity at each advertised regular meeting and advertised special meeting for residents of the political subdivision or the authority created by a political subdivision, or for taxpayers of the political subdivision, or for both, to comment on matters of concern, official action, or deliberation, which are or may be before the board or council prior to taking official action." The statutory language enacted by the Pennsylvania General Assembly and signed into law by the governor is clear and unequivocal. The Pennsylvania Sunshine Act requires public comment on matters of concern, official action, or deliberation, which may be before council prior to taking official action at all regular meetings and special meetings. As I indicated at Borough Council's meeting on January the 17th, the Borough Council reorganization meeting is neither. Regular advertised meetings of Borough Council are held on the third Wednesday of each month. A special meeting is defined by section 1006, subsection 2 of the Pennsylvania Borough Code as a meeting that may be called by the president of council or upon request of 1/3 of the members of council. Members shall be given at least 24 hours notice of the special meeting. The Borough Council reorganization meeting is a mandatory meeting held on the first Monday of January of even-numbered years, pursuant to section 1001 of the Pennsylvania Borough Code. It is neither a regular advertised meeting nor a special meeting. Ms. Palmer makes reference to the Pennsylvania Office of Open Records, which is a state agency that oversees the right to know law, but does not have any enforcement authority relative to the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. Its, quote, frequently asked questions section on its website may not override the clear and unequivocal language in section 710.1, subsection A of the Sunshine Act. The Pennsylvania Office of Open Records provides guidance to citizens and municipalities alike in the implementation of the Sunshine Act, but has no authority to contravene the unambiguous legislative intentions of the Pennsylvania General Assembly. As I previously indicated, the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law statutory language does not specifically require public participation as a mandatory component of a reorganization meeting. As to Ms. Palmer's comments relative to the Pennsylvania Association of Boroughs, I note that this is a highly respected, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization dedicated to serving 956 borough governments throughout the Commonwealth. Since 1911, PSAB has represented the very best interest of boroughs and helped to shape the laws that made their foundation. PSAB exists for the sole purpose of improving and assisting local municipal governments through legislative advocacy, research, and education. PSAB's primary objectives are to provide legislative and regulatory representation at both the state and the federal level, to promote constructive and cooperative relationships among boroughs and other levels of government, and to deliver training, education, and technical assistance to borough officials. Precisely what they have done here. As I indicated at Borough Council's January 17th meeting, the Pennsylvania Boroughs Association has taken the position that public participation is not required at a reorganization meeting. On its website, which I would certainly encourage everyone to review, the reorganization meeting and agenda and instructions that are provided to 956 boroughs throughout the Commonwealth does not provide for a period of public participation, unlike regular and special meetings where public comment is specifically required under the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law. As I further indicated at Council's January 17th meeting, there are no appellate court decisions in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania addressing whether public participation is a mandatory component of a reorganization meeting. I continue to stand by those comments. Appellate court cases refer to decisions made by the three appellate courts of the Commonwealth: the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, the Pennsylvania Superior Court, and the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court. Those decisions rendered by Pennsylvania's appellate courts have precedential value and are binding throughout the Commonwealth. These three courts are the highest courts in the judicial branch of the Commonwealth. Ms. Palmer has cited in her correspondence a lower county court decision from the Westmoreland County Court of Common Pleas, Westmoreland County is located in western Pennsylvania and lies adjacent to the city of Pittsburgh. The opinion rendered by the local county court in Westmoreland County has no binding effect here in Delaware County and carries no legal precedence throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Its interpretation of the Sunshine Act is limited to those municipalities in Westmoreland County. In reviewing the opinion, I would respectfully disagree with the court's reasoning, which I believe to be flawed as it applies to public participation at reorganization meetings. Because the county court's opinion is non-precedential, it is applicable exclusively to those litigants in that particular case. A non-precedential county court opinion is generally not relied upon or cited by another court or a party in any other action or proceeding. My job as your solicitor is to define and interpret the law as best as I can under sometimes challenging circumstances. The law can be at times nuanced, highly complex, and intellectually stimulating. I can assure all the good citizens of Parkside, I am not here to provide subjective interpretations of the law to please or cater to any particular citizen, special interest group, or any particular political party. In the event Ms. Palmer or any other citizen may be displeased with the state of the current law, I would encourage them to reach out to their state representative and their state senator to implement appropriate changes thereto. Unless and until that occurs, I believe we all have an obligation as good citizens to respect and accept the laws on the books as they are presently written, and not as we would hope or we would like them to be. I trust my concerns have adequately addressed Ms. Palmer's most recent concerns, and I look forward to engaging with her or any other Parkside resident on any matters concerning the operation of municipal government here in the borough of Parkside.
Thank you, Mr. Wills.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, do you have any other correspondence?
That is all, Madam President.
Then we will move on to the mayor's report. Did she leave a report?
No, the only thing I have is her recreation report.
We have started a new category on the agenda. You will see the fire department report so that the fire company members don't have to sit through an entire council meeting if they wish to leave. At this time, I would ask Chief Lamy, I see you're in the audience, to give your report.
Good evening. The Parkside Fire Company responded to 32 calls in the month of January, 6 building fires, 2 of which were second alarms in the city of Chester. Did 14 medical calls in the borough, 4 hazardous conditions, 4 service calls, 2 false alarms, and 2 special assignments. The fire company has 4 members enrolled in fire school. They will be coming up on their midterms at the end of February. They will complete this class in May. They gave up 16 weekends and countless nights to complete this class. Remember, they are volunteers. They don't get paid to do this. We have held classes on CPR, AED, first on scene, and for medical calls, and all of our active firefighters are required to attend all classes. We will be sending members to emergency vehicle obstacle course, pump school in the near future. And this is to ensure that we have qualified members driving and operating the fire engine in all emergencies. We will also be holding a class on all hazards. We are asking our neighboring fire companies to attend if they wish to. The second part is our finance from last year. So for the money that we received for taxpayers' money was $67,500. Of that, we spent $23,956.02 on building maintenance and utilities, $26,231.16 on insurance, $9,482.53 on communications, $6,271.41 on truck repair and maintenance, and $1,558.88 on fuel. I'd also like to remind everybody that the fire company has a pantry. The pantry is open on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays is from 6 to 7, and Thursdays 10 to 11. We've had numerous residents from the borough stop by to pick up food, which is very good because we need them. We want to make sure that we're there for them. And we want to thank everyone for all your continued support in this. And if anybody has any questions, we do have a website. It's parksidefooddrive@gmail.com. And we also have a Facebook page for the pantry. And the one last thing is we'd like to leave us with the borough. It's a flyer for the Easter Bunny Breakfast, which will be held on March 23rd from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Thank you.
Chief, would you leave a copy of your report?
Oh, I'm going to give it all back.
Thank you. You're ahead of me then. And you can leave the flyer there for the bunny breakfast.
And just the signage.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
No problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the call to citizens on agenda items only. If anybody wishes to address council on agenda items only. I keep it moving then.
Actually, sorry. I was just waiting to see if anyone else was going first. And a guy. I had a couple things. I might ask, at the last meeting, there was a vote where Nick abstained and Michelle abstained, but Sarah did not. And I guess I'm confused why some did and one did not.
I don't see that. I mean, this is call to citizens on agenda items.
Oh, okay, I will move on. So you guys are voting on the appointments, and I also saw in the last meeting that Mr. Wills was explaining about why there was no vote for the appointments. He said something about tradition in Parkside. Although last year you did say that we needed to vote on the appointments. I guess I'm confused. Like, do we follow laws or traditions?
At the 2022 reorganization meeting, unfortunately, the appointments, not the committees, but the appointments were not voted on independently. Tonight, we will, as you can see on the agenda, we will ratify the appointments.
They weren't voted on at all at the reorganization meeting a couple months ago, right? There was no vote.
The appointments tonight need to be ratified.
Okay, I'm just curious why we would go by tradition rather than what the law says, because
In
Mr. Wills,
2022, the appointments were not voted on. Unfortunately, I followed the same tradition. That was a mistake of which I apologized at the last meeting. Tonight, we will ratify the appointments, not the committees, there's two issues. The appointments will be ratified tonight.
I guess I'm concerned because I know Mr. Wills participates with other boroughs, and with other boroughs, he does participate where they do vote on each appointment. So I guess I'm curious, do we have different laws because we're a small borough?
We do not. We're all under the Pennsylvania Borough Code.
I did want to mention about the fencing vote. I do have concerns about changing that. I don't understand why you would take away any buffer at all when you're talking about fencing. I believe that was put in place to prevent issues between neighbors, and maybe a foot is a lot, maybe 6 inches would be more reasonable. And I guess we'll see who takes advantage of the new ordinance to harass, if that's the way it's gonna
Do you have
be.
a specific question concerning that?
Yeah, no, I don't have a question. I have a concern. I thought this was my opportunity to speak on things that you were going to vote on before you were voting on them.
Yes, and the reason we're changing that is because what's happening is if somebody puts a fence 1 foot from the person's property line, they're losing an entire length of their property with that 1 foot. Now, your next door neighbor comes in and puts a fence on their 1 foot from their property line. Now you have a 2-foot section, and your neighbor's losing that same length of his property that he's paying taxes on. Now you have a 2-foot section between them. Who maintains that? Do you lean over and spray the weeds? Now your neighbor is concerned you're killing his grass. Do you try to get a weed whacker over there and cut the grass, and now somebody's saying you're trespassing on his property? So what we're trying to do is clean up some of the ordinance from the past.
Well, I do see that it could cause concerns, and I guess I just don't see why you would take away any guidance whatsoever. Basically, you're just removing any guidance.
We're going back to another ordinance that was in place many years ago, in which it can be on the property line, and that taxpayer's not losing any of his property that he's paying taxes on.
Also, I just wanted to point out that we did have some ethics issues. They came to,
Mrs. Guy, is this a question?
yes, I am getting to something that is related to the agenda. Thank you. But it was found that, let's see, Mr. Powers participated to enact an ordinance which created new compensation for his role as the borough fire marshal, resulting in a private financial benefit to himself, and also participated in actions to set a salary as borough emergency management coordinator for the 2023 calendar year, resulting in financial benefit to himself. And also Mr. Capabianco participated in discussions and actions to hire and pay a business with which he is associated, Capo's Handyman Services, to disinfect Parkside Borough offices, resulting in a private financial benefit to himself. I bring this up because once again, you've made a council member our code enforcement officer and plan to ratify that today. I do believe that while small boroughs are allowed to hire council members for certain positions, they are supposed to go through a certain process before they do that. You can't just fire the code enforcement officer that was in place and hire yourself. You in fact have to have a search. I do believe I can bring in the exact wording next time, but I know that you have to actually do a search and not just fire one and hire the person that you want.
And your question is?
My concern is that you are once again doing that, and that again puts us in danger of breaking the ethics laws. And that should be something that's important to people who care about how people spend our money.
It's an unfortunate situation with the Ethic Commission, and I believe we've all learned from it. But the ethic findings do not preclude anybody being an elected official or an employee here. You were late coming in. I did mention that we are going back to a process that we used 2 years ago, and prior to that, an abstain form. Every member who is abstaining from a vote shall fill this out as pursuant to the Pennsylvania Public Official and Employee Ethic Law.
What about going through the proper process before hiring a council member to a paid position?
It is the person who is being hired and has been in that position for many, many years is more qualified than any person that has been brought up to this council in the last 2 years. And the termination of that person by the prior council, I personally, in my own opinion, feel that was a political issue.
How about Brenda?
Do you have any other questions for the agenda items only?
Actually, there were reasons that we did make that decision, but I'm going to check about the legality about how much I can say
I
about
will
that, so.
then let the solicitor review your issues. Anybody else that wants to address agenda items only? Then we'll move on. The president's report. I'd like to announce that last month we had an executive session concerning a personnel issue. We will have an executive session immediately after tonight's meeting on a police personnel issue. I'd like to thank Mr. Cornog and Mr. Powers for keeping our roadways clean and safe during the last several snowstorms. Also, a thank you to our secretary for helping out with the recent audit for 2023 and our various bank signer issues. We did have several issues in which the prior council did not remove former employees' signatures from our bank accounts. The LED streetlight program has not started. There is a sticking point with the funding through the liquid fuels funds. PennDOT has put a requirement on their qualified list of products, and the products that were quoted in the contract that the prior council signed is excluded. The owner of Keystone Lighting Solution and I have been corresponding. He is working with PennDOT to see if these products will then go back onto the list of availability. And if not, we will have to look into legal action. It is noted that the invoice from October 25 of 2023 for phase 2 of in the amount of $2,801.49 apparently was not paid. The invoice must have fallen through the cracks, and the treasurer is in receipt of same. A resident contacted a council member concerning a problem with another resident feeding wildlife to the point where it's become a nuisance. According to the Pennsylvania Department of Gaming Commission and the Department of Conservation Natural Resources, it is illegal to feed any type of wildlife without written permission from the Gaming Commission or the Department of Conservation Natural Resources. Obviously, we're talking about wildlife such as raccoons or of that type or size. There are several proposed legislations pending at the state level, one of which addresses the right to knows, which would allow boroughs to change the 5-day response time to a 10-day response time, and to clarify that certain information such as banking information and personnel issues can be excluded. I have spoken with the fire marshal, who has addressed my concerns about residents being protected after a fire against advances of numerous adjusters or contractors. We have our own code, section 129, and he has also advised me that Pennsylvania Act 21 of 2012 indicates that no public adjuster may solicit a client within 24 hours of a fire or catastrophe. And I thank Mr. Smith for his information. I recently had a conversation with a real estate agent concerning a potential buyer for the old church. Unfortunately, the prospective client has several ideas for the redevelopment of this property, but he is unsure which way he will go. I have informed him of our zoning requirements and our application and the fees, and if he wishes to apply for the zoning board, he most certainly can do so. The treasurer has informed us that numerous state forms that are required this time of the year have been filed with the Commonwealth and the county. I'd like to thank our treasurer for filing these forms in a timely manner. We have also contacted our insurance broker to increase the bond for the assistant tax collector. The bonds seem extremely low with the amount of taxes that may come into the borough that he would be handling. I have had a back and forth conversation with the residents concerning an ongoing bug issue, and I am hoping that the advice I gave her to file a civil complaint at the district level will be adhered. Other than that, we will move on unless somebody has any questions on my report. Mr. Bull is not here this evening. He had a prior commitment. Council has had a time to review the treasurer's report. All bank accounts are reconciled through January 31st, 2024, except Sharon Bank Escrow, Green Tree. We do not have a bank statement for this account. We are including bank reconciliations as statements for all reconciled accounts. For the month of January, $16,849.59 was deposited in TD Bank. Expenses, $132,801.39 were paid. During this period, $43,894.64 of deposits were received into Sharon Bank, and $64,368.69 of these expenses were paid, including payroll of $59,415. What's council's pleasure on accepting the treasurer's report?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions or concerns on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. All
Abstain.
those? I'm sorry,
Abstain.
Mr. Platt, would you two do a roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Bull is absent. Mr. Capabianco.
Yes.
Mr. Costigan.
Yes.
Mrs. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Powers.
Abstain.
Mrs. Percival.
Yes.
Mrs. Skrobak.
Yes.
There are 5 yeas, 1 absent, 1 abstention.
Thank you. Council has before them the bills for approval. What's your pleasure, please?
Make the motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Any questions or concerns on the bills to be paid? Mr. Platt, would you do a roll call on the bills, please?
Mr. Bull is absent. Mr. Capabianco.
Abstain.
Mr. Costigan.
Yes.
Mrs. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Powers.
Abstain.
Mrs. Percival.
Yes.
Mrs. Skrobak.
Yes.
4 yeses, 2 abstentions, 1 absent.
Abstain. Sorry.
Oh.
Abstain.
Let's try that again. 3 yeses, 3 abstentions, 1 absent.
Thank you. And we will make sure that the secretary gets all abstaining forms, please.
Question, Madam President. Needed a form for each abstention?
Yes.
We can't combine, okay.
Did Mr. Bull leave an open space report?
No,
We've gotten more or additional estimates for tree removal, so I'm hoping that we would do that next month.
still waiting to hear from ProTree. I sent him another email today asking him to try and schedule something with Ryan to do a walkout.
Super. Mr. Costigan, junior council member report.
Sure. So I met with the junior council members before our meeting tonight. to review some of our recent updates on the council. And we also discussed some project ideas, some new projects, some continuation of projects, repeating projects. So I don't want to say too much. I want to turn it over to them so they can talk about their ideas for upcoming projects.
So really quickly, I just want to let you guys know that for the memorial garden that's going down at the woodlot, I started research on some perennials to put in the plants, or to put in the planters. And also I'm looking into getting some plaques to label what they're for. And hopefully after the meeting, I was hoping to speak to Ms. Quintana about maybe meeting about some time and talking about grants and other things. And lastly, really quick, I put together a letter and I still have to, mess with it and get some things right. But I was thinking about going around to businesses and maybe asking for funding for projects. That way it's not as much of a cost to the council. That's it.
So I had this new project that I wanted to propose, and it's called like a parents' night out / babysitting night, where the parents would drop their kids off for us to watch while they have like a few hours to themselves. And it'd be like a small fee or donation to give to us to donate to the junior council. And in exchange, the kids would have fun there, activities and food, and they'd be supervised by us. And I'm pretty sure we all have some experience watching little kids. So that's just something we wanted to do.
Where would you have this?
We just figured this out today, but hopefully somewhere like the elementary school here would be a good idea.
Great idea.
And then also we were probably considering doing another cleanup day. The one we had last year was very successful. So we'll have more information about that coming up, hopefully sometime around Earth Day. But other than that, that's all I have for junior council.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Costigan? Moving on, Mr. Secretary, did, in there? You got it.
Recreation Committee report for 2/21. Excuse me. First of all, I want to thank all of our Recreation Committee volunteers for their dedication and the work each one of them put into making our events the best they can be for our residents. The committee wanted to do something different for our community, and we did. On February 17th, we had our first annual dance, which was also our first event for the year. Me and my guy, me and my gal dance. The committee feels like it was a huge success, and it can only get better as time goes on. Everyone had so much fun. The laughs and the smiles said it all. We have had parents reaching out to us and thanking us for a memorable night. DJ Nick did an awesome job, as usual, with the music. It was all the little details that made it perfect. A special thank you to our photographers, Crystal Morris and Maya Morris. The parents loved leaving with a precious memory. Again, we are doing something different. On March 22nd, instead of our usual egg dyeing event, the rec committee had an excellent idea. We decided to do a children Easter bingo. The winner of each round will win an Easter basket. We are excited to change the event up this year. You heard words, not mine. This is just another event we feel will bring family fun into our community. On March 23rd, we will have our annual egg hunt. It will start at noon at the Woodlot. May 4th, we are working on our community day. If you would like to be a vendor or know someone that has a business, please reach out to us. How to keep up with our events, the flyer we sent out, our Facebook page, Parkside Recreation Committee Bulletin, or email at parksiderec19015@gmail.com. Next rec committee meeting is Wednesday, March 6, 2024, here at Borough Hall at 6:30. Volunteers are always welcome. And that is all.
Super, thank you for doing that. Police and Public Safety, Mr. Capabianco.
Thank you, Madam President. Chief Murray received a confirmation from our state representatives. We will receive a $100,000 grant to purchase 2 new vehicles, which is a good thing.
Good job.
Yes.
Nice.
Code, there's 2 warnings given out for a collapsed pool in the rear yard of the 200 block of West Rowan. There's a warning given out for snow removal on the sidewalk of the unit block of West Avon. Spoke to the supervisors of Kehoe Construction about the repaving, the part of Beechwood and East Avon that Pico tore up. Found out, not on my watch, found out there was no permits to open our streets on Beechwood and East Avon. So I did suggest to them that they would go curb to curb and from High Point down to Edgemont Ave to repave that, or they would have to come back and get permits and get citations for no working permits. So if you look at the two streets, they did my suggestion and did the whole part of the street from curb to curb. Again, that work started not on my watch when I was wrongfully terminated. Okay, I was called out February 7th at 2:30 in the morning to investigate a vehicle accident that involved structural damage to the property. I met Chief Lamy and the volunteer fire department on that. Received information from the fire marshal on violations at two establishments on Edgemont Avenue. I don't want to give out their names, but those violations were corrected. I'd like to thank Danny Smith for that. And that's all I have.
Do you want to continue, unless anybody has any questions on your safety report to code officer?
Yeah, that was a code.
That was it.
I can do L and I.
Yeah, go.
All right. Permits were given for buildings for 7 and plumbing permits for 2. And that is it.
Any questions for Mr. Capriaco?
I just have a comment. I just want to, just going back to the police and public safety report, I want to thank our state representative, Carol Kazim, for her work on getting us the money for those cars. I talked with her multiple times, and I know the chief worked with her going back to last year. And she put in tireless effort to get us those cars. And she called me a couple weeks ago to let me know that we got the cars. And she had to twist some arms and put in a lot of effort. So I'm grateful, and we all should be grateful for her efforts.
It saves the taxpayers money.
Yeah, I would that on that. If you're good with Kazim, after we can get some grants for our fire trucks over there, if you don't mind.
I know
You're
she's
close
been working
for
with. I know she's been working with the fire company.
No.
All right,
No.
let's go back on topic, please, and you two can discuss that after the meeting. Any other questions or concerns for Mr. Capabianco? Ordinances and grants, Mrs. Crowback.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 580, rescinding, amending, and supplementing general code entitled Garbage, Rubbish, and Refuse Permit Fees and Fences and Walls. The motion was read at our last meeting last month. An ordinance of the Borough of Parkside, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, rescinding, amending, and supplementing certain sections and subsections of the general code. So basically what I just said. This was advertised as well.
Second that motion.
The next, oh, I'm sorry.
Hold the phone.
Okay.
Mr. Platt, would you do a roll call, please?
Happy to. Mr. Bull, absent. Mr. Capabianco,
Abstain.
Mr. Costigan,
Yes.
Mrs. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Mrs. Percival,
Yes.
Mrs. Scrubba,
Yes.
5 yeses, 1 abstention.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 1871 for application of the 2024 county aid funding. This reads as a resolution authorizing an application to the Delaware County Council for an allocation of county liquid fuel tax funds in 2024 for the Municipal Roadways Street Improvement Program of 2024.
Second. All those in favor of resolution 1871 on our county aid? Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
The next one, discussion of the multipurpose community facilities grant and approval. What I've been learning from was that this grant can help out with our facilities. My understanding, the grant would give us the opportunity to provide space for small events, recreational and educational programming, tutoring, and maybe some other things. Also, what Ms. Catania and I were discussing, or what I've been learning from it, maybe possible even computers for residents possibly to come in and use. I know that, the closest library we have is in Aston. So that might be beneficial for our residents as well. I definitely like the idea of, adding maybe more technology, as well as maybe a projector. I know with meetings and in classrooms, I've gotten familiar with smart boards and just if we need to show something to our residents, it'd be nice to project it as well and then highlight things from there. Ms. Catania, do you want to mention anything else on that I may have missed?
We would essentially, for those of you who've been around for a while, we would essentially be bringing back some idea of events here in this particular room. The thought was to take, we don't use the conference room, which is over on the other side of the hall, very often, to put a couple desks with printer there so that if a resident needed to get onto the internet, they would be able to do so, to do some of the things that otherwise they would have to get in their car and go elsewhere. I toyed with the idea of putting a small area where you could do a mini library, but I think for the access to it, I'm not so sure that we wouldn't have to have volunteers here all the time. So I don't know that would work. Just coming up with some ideas. This room and the smaller conference room, we would be looking at redoing the lighting. I have money in, this is a $250,000 minimum grant application. What we were looking at is, we've heard it, we know it needs to be done, replacing the HVAC systems that are taking care of this room and that room next door, possibly upgrading the kitchenette because people will be utilizing that when there's events that are happening here. I had in the grant estimate potentially a small shed so that we could buy some tables and chairs, which actually are eligible, so that when we have something, I actually designed this that you see here, and the purpose of it was that it would be portable so that when there were events here, we could push them off to the side, possibly use them for serving tables, etc. So having something that is mobile is a very positive thing. We have some work to do up in the attic with the ductwork that absolutely needs to be completed. As Councilwoman said, looking at new video equipment, get a screen that actually would be mobile, would be able to bring it up and down if necessary or as necessary. I like your idea about babysitting. We've actually had Parkside Youth Days here in the past, and we actually asked the Red Cross to come in, and they certified anyone that wanted to be certified as a babysitter during those 2 days of events. So those are things that we used to do that I think
We need to do again.
I have no say in the matter, and I don't live here, but I've been here for so long, I feel like I'm part of the community. So when I see these things, I that's what I'm thinking. Obviously, we could use a paint, some new flooring in the kitchen, the hallway needs it. There are things that the community is using, so we can actually ask for it in the grant.
The other thing I just thought of as you were talking in the tutoring is maybe working alongside with junior council with helping out with tutoring, like looking for, I know some of you approached me about volunteer hours, things like that. And offering, maybe tutoring here in that room. And myself being a teacher at one point, I'd be happy to help with that as well. Not that I'm adding, more to my plate, but I'd be happy to guide and help out with that if it gets to that point. I'm hoping it does.
I worked closely with Ms. Catania when this building was built.
Needs a little work.
Walking over over boards to look at the blueprint of this when it was just starting to be walls. And several of the ideas when we started this process was to, again, move these tables back and utilize this room as much as possible other than just meetings. So I'm hopeful, and I'd like to know, are we going to entertain a motion tonight to approve the start of this grant and start the paperwork?
I would like to.
The grant is actually due April the 20th, so
I
we
did
do
see
need to
that.
get moving on it. But as well, any of the community that's out here that would be willing to, support letters are big to do. So if there's any organizations that you know of that might want to utilize this in the future, if we can get a support letter from the group, that would certainly help the chances. It gives you more points in the process.
And as we always say, our chairs are slowly sinking.
And our chairs,
As
I
soon
don't
as
know.
she said chairs,
These chairs, I don't think that we can get,
well,
because
we'll
they're part of the government, but
think
we
of
can
that.
check it.
This room is actually 24 years old, or 23 and a half years old, so it could use carpet and paint and everything else. Mrs. Skrobak, would you like to entertain a motion, please, to start the
Yes.
process for this grant?
Yes, so I'd like to make a motion to start the process for the grant of the multi-purpose community facilities grant.
Super.
Second.
Any questions on that motion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? So moved. And I understand there is no match money for this.
There is no match to this.
So that's a wonderful thing.
Oh, the engineering and
It's not included.
it is included.
It is included? There we go. It even makes it better.
I know.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
No.
Any questions for Mrs. Skrobak? Moving on to Public Works, Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. All properties of the borough have been maintained for the month. We've used 20 tons of salt for the winter months so far. The heater in the police office went down on Monday. It is back again running. Don't know for how long. I guess we're back to square one with getting bids and things for the heater and air conditioning system for the summer. I know Mr. Sidlow was heading that up, and I don't know where any of those quotes or who he contacted, so I guess we're starting all over with that.
Mr. Platt, do you have any of the information Mr. Sidlow left, or did he leave anything?
I may have some stuff. Let me check through my emails and see.
And Ms. Catania?
I think I have it, but I can tell you that it's over the $25,000, the threshold for bids.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've got the proposal for, well, this is the listing. I do actually do something. The HVAC for the hall, he has prices that range from $12,995 to $14,782. And then the furnace, he's got prices from $16,250 to $20,233.
Yeah, I believe that's the offices and the hall. I don't believe it's the police office.
Yeah, it doesn't,
So that'll probably have to be another one we'll have to work on. But I don't have the report from ERS who came in and did the emergency repair to find out exactly what was wrong with it. So I'll get that and take a look at it and move on.
And then I think we should, Ms. Catania, do you know when that grant is being awarded?
I don't, it does not say.
Okay. Mr. Powers, maybe we can start looking to get prices. If
Okay.
We have to bid it out and advertise.
Okay. That's all I have.
Super. Any questions for Mr. Powers? Emergency Management and Fire Marshal, Mr. Smith, do you have a report tonight?
Thank you, Madam President. Thanks, Madam President, members of council. So for emergency management, I just report progress. I haven't had anything to deal with. So Fire Marshal's report for February 2023, I had no fire inspections or call-outs for the month. For investigations, I was notified by Council President Percival of a fire location in the Woodlot exercise area. That'll be continued to be monitored. And notes-wise, working alongside Code Officer Capabianco to build a full commercial list for the borough that we didn't have, and that's just been completed tonight with the mail-outs going out tomorrow. That's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. Mr. Costigan, do you have a recycling report?
Yes. For the month of January 2024, the trash total is 92.61 tons, recycling 18.62 tons. That's all I have for trash and recycling.
And maybe this spring we can start looking into an electronic event.
Sure.
I know Mr. Platt has a name of someone, and Mrs. Stillwell has a name of someone who may
Like
be able to
A
come in
hauler to do the event, you're saying, or?
to do the event and maybe possibly free.
Okay,
I put a couple cards in your mess, back there.
Okay.
Free is good.
Michael, I'll email you. There is a company that will pick stuff up for free. They won't charge you.
okay.
Free.
Free.
I like these
So we
connect
use them
neighborhood.
and they use them at once.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Costigan. Communications report, Mrs. Haynes?
Yes. The Parkside Borough Council and Communications Committee is thrilled to announce that we are in the process of creating a printed quarterly newsletter to be delivered directly to every household in our community. We have set publication dates for March 25th, June 24th, September 29th, and December 25th. It will be celebrating the events held in Parkside that our residents attend, our residents' accomplishments, resident-owned businesses and talents, police and fire reports, and a calendar of events. If you are a resident and you would like your business listed in this, please email me. Separately, our public image as a borough. In my opinion, it appears that some of our own residents have learned the interesting and heartwarming behavior of using the press and social media to target our residents. I'm fed up with our town consistently being the target of negative attention. I urge all of our residents to come together and combat this negativity by sharing only uplifting stories with the press and on social media. Our reputation can be improved dramatically by refusing to fuel the fire of negative press and instead focus on promoting the good in our community. Together, we can make a difference and showcase the true spirit of our town. To start this, I've contacted the Delco Times with the latest Me and My Guy / Me and My Gal dance the Recreation Committee held. Whew, that's all I have.
Super. May I also interject that Mrs. Haynes has been working with with Theo on our website and various other social medias to get that brought up to speed. And thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Haynes? Did Mr. Fisher leave a report?
He did.
Did he leave money?
Actually, he did.
Yeah, he did.
There
Did he?
is a check.
Thank you. I was starting to get a little worried when I was reading how much we had and then how much we put out.
Before I read this, just a reminder to our residents, let me get my dates here, that the borough office will be open on Saturdays, March 16th, 23rd, and 30th for the residents who can't get here during the week and want to come in and pay their taxes. We'll have office hours on Saturday from 8 to noon. Tax collectors report December 28th, 2023 to December 31st, 2023. Good evening. Treasurer has received a total of $1,262,344.55 to date. There was $22,468.65 in revenue deposits from December 28th, 2023 to December 31st, 2023. This will close out the tax year 2023. Regards, Ed Fisher.
Super, thank you. Moving on to the engineer's report, Ms. Catania.
Thank you, Madam President. We went through most of my report. Just wanted to mention, because it's out there, Edgemont Avenue Storm Sewer, we had put a LSA grant application in for that. Obviously, we weren't selected. If we have not heard concerning that, that was a $450,000. I don't have the exact number here.
Is that the last one we applied?
That's the last one we applied for, was the LSA. So actually last month, I had approached a contractor who does a lot of emergency work in the various municipalities that I represent. Asked him just to do, there's some bare minimums that we need to do out on Edgemont Avenue, just to see what kind of numbers we could get. This is not a bid number, so there's no, it's not prevailing wage, nor does it include the bond documents, insurance documents that we would typically get. We got a price of a little bit over $43,000. And again, that is bare minimum. That is not even the small project that was discussed with Joe Roto when Joe was here. I'm going to suggest to you at the next meeting that we put together a package and we get it out for bid unless we can determine that it's emergency. But I don't see how we can determine it's an emergency when it's been 3 years. Yeah, 2 or 3 years. I do have a call into Mike Burns to see what the schedule is for the 2022 PennDOT road program. I think it was Edgemont Avenue 2022. I know last time I spoke to him on another matter, he had said that they're very late in getting the work out. So my guess is that project will probably be forthcoming in the next season, which is coming up shortly. April, the plants will open and we'll start moving again. Otherwise, I can just report general progress. I don't know what we're planning on doing with a road program. You put the resolution together tonight. That county aid money cannot be utilized for the storm sewer project. So if we aren't going to use that this year, I would like to send a letter to county council asking that it be deferred till next year. We can only defer for 2 years. So we would lose it if we don't use it next year. Just FYI. Okay.
First subject.
All kinds of positive news.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
First subject, council, is I personally, my opinion, we need to move on the Edgemont Avenue issue. It's been delayed and delayed in case we get this grant, in case we get that grant. It's got to stop. And we've got to look to get a package together to get that road repaired for all of our residents, anyone that uses that roadway. My suggestion is to have Ms. Catania start working on that. The asphalt plants will open in the spring and we need to keep it moving. Unless council disagrees with that.
Well, our residents been saying this from day one.
For years.
Let's get it done for them.
And
What
we
we're
have-
here
Again,
for.
I'm gonna tell you, there's no imminent danger of
No.
collapse, just so everyone is clear on that. What we will need to do is next month, we'll have to put the authorization to bid project, so we'd advertise.
Okay.
Put it on the agenda then for next month.
Yep.
Please, Mr. Platt, put it on the agenda, let's move on the Edgemont Avenue. And I hear from the fire company too, with their equipment coming up and down that roadway. So like, enough.
So I did see that the utility company was out doing repairs on the trench along Edgemont Avenue. So I know that was a bigger issue than the few sinkholes that we had.
The biggest problem is, well, the second biggest problem is, we don't know if PennDOT is going to approve any of the LED streetlights that were in the contracts.
So what happens is they put together a publication that has all of their approved lighting poles. We just had a situation where the pole that we use in the municipality is not a pole that PennDOT will approve. So typically from what I understand from this particular issue, all of the manufacturers that were on the list, all the list was removed. So all of the listings were removed, and they had to reapply to get back onto the list. My guess would be that they will get back onto the list. I know Mr. Bull had some other issues that he wanted to discuss, but it will happen. I'll tell you that. It will definitely delay your project, but it will happen. And I will tell you that PennDOT will not, until it's on that it will not get approved to move forward.
My suggestion to council is that members of council look at our roadways, and Mr. Powers, if you can pull together a list, even if we do only one road with whatever liquid fuel monies that we have left over or coming in, even if we do one road for our residents, it's got to be better than no roads. And we can get that to council and to Ms. Catania and have her also review that. And we'll put that on the agenda for next month to discuss, since this is early, it's only February, but I'm trying to think spring. Does anybody have any questions for our engineer? Moving on to the solicitor's report, Mr. Wills.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, and a most good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The February 21st, 2024 solicitor's report is as follows. Number one, the status on the 2023 delinquent trash fee accounts. The tax collector has advised that there are 25 delinquent trash fee accounts with a total delinquency of $13,824. On January the 17th, I had forwarded correspondence to each of those property owners, again, requesting that they satisfy their financial obligations to the borough within the next 30 days, and further advising that their failure to do so will, of course, result in the filing of a municipal lien against the property with the attendant court cost and attorney's fees as so authorized by borough ordinance. Now, since I sent out those letters, I believe the borough has received 2 payments per the borough secretary's office. The 30 days has just about expired, and therefore I will begin filing those municipal liens in the near future. Number 2, of course, concerns the new borough ordinance. My office had drafted that new ordinance, which had been properly advertised and was enacted by borough council at this evening's meeting, again, rescinding, supplementing, and amending the Parkside General Code. 3, trash fee exemption for a disabled veteran. The borough recently received notice from the Delaware County Board of Assessments that the property owner at 2629 Parkside Terrace is exempt from borough real estate taxes because he is an honorably discharged veteran with a 100% permanent service-related disability. And that is, of course, in compliance with Pennsylvania state law. The law is silent as to whether a 100% disabled veteran is exempt from the borough trash fee. The trash fee, as you may know, is not a property tax, but a service fee for the collection of residential trash in the borough. It would be my strong recommendation to Borough Council that we waive the trash fee for this well-deserving property owner who is a 100% disabled veteran in service of our great country. If it is the pleasure of Borough Council, a motion would be in order to waive the trash fee for the property owner at 2629 Parkside Terrace.
Under
Need a
new,
motion?
under new business.
You did very well.
Mhm.
All right. 4, right to know law request. Again, my office continues to work diligently with the open records officer in responding to multiple, and again, the optimum word being multiple, right to know law requests as we begin the new year. So I don't think those requests will go unabated. 5, fire insurance escrow proceeds. Back on December the 7th of 2020, the property owner at 12 West Shelton Road sustained a fire loss. In compliance with the borough's fire insurance escrow ordinance that requires a partial escrow payment to the borough when a building sustains significant damage as a result of a fire loss, the property owner's insurance company issued a check to the borough in the amount of $24,851.61. The payment is made to the borough to ensure that the property owner fully restores the property as confirmed by the borough building code official. The BCO has recently confirmed that the property has been fully restored and or repaired. Therefore, I have authorized our erstwhile borough treasurer to make payment to the property owner / policy holder. Number 6, Keystone Lighting Solutions. As Borough Council has heard this evening, last year the borough voted to participate in the Regional Streetlight Procurement Program to procure, install, and finance the transition to LED street lighting and other street lighting improvements throughout the borough. The borough has been working with the contractor Keystone Lighting Solutions to facilitate this project. There has been a glitch or a delay. In short, again, as we heard this evening, PennDOT has put a new requirement on their qualified list of products that, if strictly enforced, would now exclude all previously approved products under the borough's contract. Now, the borough has received communication from the president of Keystone Lighting Solutions, assuring us that PennDOT has indicated they will eventually approve the use of the borough's listed products. Again, assuming this is correct, once we have PennDOT's approval, the equipment and the products can then be ordered. This time, probably the borough is looking at an installation date of April or May, probably at the earliest. Seventh item on my agenda, the Our Lady of Charity School Property and Convent. The Brookhaven Borough Council has scheduled a special meeting this Saturday, February 24th at 12 o'clock noon in the Brookhaven Municipal Building to discuss the proposed municipal acquisition of approximately 7.4 acres of OLC property to be utilized as open space and passive recreation. I bring this to the borough's attention because multiple Parkside Borough property owners on West Shelton Road reside immediately adjacent to the OLC property and have a vested interest in its future use. Yours truly will be one of the principal speakers at that meeting in my capacity as solicitor for the Borough of Brookhaven. I invite all interested Parkside Borough residents to attend this town hall style meeting. I believe it'll be a very informative public meeting. And I will leave the borough with one historical trivia fact for those historians or would-be historians here in the borough. The Our Lady of Charity Parish was formed in 1952, right, to administer to the growing needs of the Catholic population here in Parkside, Brookhaven, and Upland. But of course, it took 2 years for the Our Lady of Charity Church to be constructed and consecrated. So you may ask yourself, between the years 1952 and 1954, where did the Catholics in this area celebrate Mass? Well, the answer is a very simple one. In the banquet hall of the Parkside Volunteer Fire Company. And with that, Madam President, I can report general progress.
An important part of our community is sitting right in the audience, our fire company members. Thank you, Mr. Wells, and it's nice to see you tonight. Call of citizens, ladies and gentlemen, does anybody wish to address council?
Andrew Sawit, 142 East Rolling Road. First of all, I'd like to thank the fire company, our police department, and Brookhaven. They came to my assistance to my house. The young lady over here, Sarah, had talked about it being us getting a positive, not a black eye. I think that's, one of the ways we can do it. They helped me out I can't say enough. So thank you very much. Number two, relating to the thing with the liquid fuel, my understanding is, don't we get that automatically when with this motion? The liquid fuel was mentioned in that.
We're asking for county help, which is called county aid, to help with that. County aid money would go towards our road program if we do one. Liquid fuel comes from the state. So
okay.
County aid is what we're asking for in the amount of, what was it, $2,000.
Okay. I'm getting schooled. The other question I had, and this goes back a ways, I don't know, it's going to bring up a sore point, but I remember back in August of last year, we had almost like $250,000 that we got from the government. It was proposed, and I have it at home, and I read it. It was proposed to put it in a special account, and that money was supposed to be used for our 2 headaches out there.
You betcha.
Is that money available now?
Yes.
So we are going to use that money for that?
We've been turned down by several grants now, and this council is dedicated to get this problem fixed, and we will use that money.
So would that cover those 2 jobs, Mrs. Catania?
Which 2 jobs?
Well, the 2 With that money that we have, would that cover our two problems?
Edgemont Avenue School.
There's the two homes that we're talking about. It would cover that, so we really wouldn't have to dip into general funds. Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Minnie DiDomenico. May I ask, how many right to knows have been filed since January? And is it by the same person?
Since December 22nd until tonight, so I'm using the 2-month period. 2 contractors individually have filed, and there has been 6 right to knows by 1 individual resident who, I believe last year filed approximately 15 or 16 right to knows.
We don't charge the residents? Isn't that abuse of the system?
The resident required and is still requiring that all materials be sent to her electronically, so that no, she is not paying for any copies.
Oh. Okay.
Can I ask a question? Does it eventually turn into harassment?
Mr. Rose?
The right to know law statute does not place a limit on the number of right to know law requests that can be submitted by a particular resident or property owner. So it's difficult to reach that threshold of what is considered to be harassment. There is no doubt we have a particular prolific right to know law requester in the borough, but we are certainly doing our best in working with the open records officer to be in full compliance with the law and provide the records that we are required to provide under the law. Again, the law as is written is not a perfect law, but by any means, and there has been some, I think the council president had alluded to that in her remarks, that there is some discussions among the legislature in Harrisburg about amending the right to know law.
But it takes up the time of our professional staff, their time and money, we're paying for that.
Yes.
And it's taxpayers' money.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sick tired of my taxpayer money. They went into the IT vest, the neighborhood, and, but now you're gonna spend, don't care because you keep doing right to knows, and they're stupid.
Right to know forms are public knowledge, so anybody can request to find out who is sending in what right to knows.
What you have to do is send the right to know to the right to know.
Wait, and that defeats the purpose.
They've been on the website, I don't know if the website's been updated.
It has not.
It has not been
It has not
updated
been
yet. This is only the 2nd month of the year, so we're.
And you're already at 6 for one person.
I'm sorry?
I said, and we're already at 6 for one person.
Yes, that's correct. Anybody else wish to address council?
Hi, Judy Saunders. I'm going to touch on the ethics investigation. I've been here a long time. I've come to a lot of meetings. So I was here when the vote was to demand Anna Guy's resignation for a tweet. One of the tweets was that she was scared by the gun-toting racists in our town after she and I and Lisa marched children past gun-toting racists. Let's not squabble. One was that she jokingly referred to Alex Cole, who is big on Twitter, when he said, according to the GOP, anybody who is organizing or being at these marches is getting paid for Antifa. And she said, well, then where's my check? Because she had tirelessly organized marches. We demanded her resignation for that. Her face was plastered across the Daily Times. So please don't act like that's new, or that social media attacking residents is something that we've just tripped upon. I want to know if there's been ethics violations that people have done. And I remember the meeting where Mr. Powers was cautioned that he was about to breach ethics, and he turned and said, I don't care. And he didn't care. Why would he care? Because his feet were never held to the fire to be ethical under your leadership, this person. I find it hypocritical that at this juncture, we're not even going to address it. We've learned, we're moving on. Somebody had a tweet, and we not only demanded her resignation in a vote where every single Republican voted yes, demand her resignation. We also had a letter to the governor, which I believe Mr. Wills offered to do pro bono. I'm saying, not that we can't move forward, not that this council can't do things. I'm asking you to hold yourselves to the same standards you held other people to. These are ethical violations, and we're not even going to mention them. Somebody did a tweet you didn't like because you don't understand how Twitter works. We had a dissertation on it where we acted as though Antifa was a terrorist organization because it was mentioned on the floor as a terrorist organization, although it's never been defined as one. We said she was soliciting funds from a terrorist organization. We made mud pies to throw at people and then sat back and said we were moral doing it. If there is ethics violations that people who have committed themselves to being ethical for this community, at least they should apologize for them. We shouldn't just sit here and go, it's good, they volunteered, it's fine. And I'm going to mention one more thing because we do have people who do use social media to attack the other side. Here's my question, because the math ain't mathing for me. If Mr. Campabianco gave the receipts for $8,000 worth of things and that they subsequently got lost, even though Linda Higgins was a competent secretary and I remember seeing it, why then were there invoices made by a defunct a company that never existed with a number that doesn't exist? Why were those invoices made if there were legitimate receipts presented? I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense to me. It literally doesn't. And as somebody who cleaned an entire fleet of trucks and an office that was open 24/7 during COVID, I spent less than $2,000. $8,000 is excessive. Why make the invoices? If you have legitimate receipts you presented, why are the invoices the only thing that's still staying? That's a problem for me. And that's a problem for my taxpayer money. And one more thing, last year, how many right to knows came from Mrs. Campabianco?
13.
How many came from Sarah Haynes?
I don't know. I believe it
So-
was 2 or 3.
So let's talk the mass volume of what she was asking for. So we can't go forward with unity in this community if certain people are held to no standard whatsoever and the other ones are judged on every move they make. It's not fair. You represent both Democrats and Republicans. And I think it's time that you actually acknowledge that. Thank
I
you.
think she does a
Mrs.
great
Saunders,
job.
Please don't go away so I can address this.
Well, no, this is comments. I'm not asking you a question and I don't need you to address me. You do that in a council meeting.
I'd like to hear your comment, Ms. Pressville.
This council is to be is to be nonpartisan. I have stated that for years and years. We acknowledge at the beginning of the meeting that there was an issue with the Ethics Commission findings and that we have all learned from it. To say and uphold that we are not doing our job because somebody is not apologizing is unfair because we don't know the legal ramifications that those persons have been under by advice of their attorneys. The prior president of council did more than just ask for a check from Antifa and worried about gun-loving racists.
You already spoke, you're done.
Excuse me. You said you were finished, now it's my turn.
Go ahead, I'm listening. Oh, yours.
Mrs. Guy also stated that Catholic boys were raised to be racist, and I'm not going through hundreds of comments that she made because it's not fair. She's not here to address the issue. And as I've stated before, when you pick on people who are not here and you make comments about people who are not here to then say their piece, it's not fair. You brought up Mrs. Higgins. She is not here. I will tell anybody in the audience that this matter of the Ethics Commission has been blasted all over social media, no matter what your political party is. It's over, it's done with. The commission did a finding. Each individual members were fined. It is a fine. It is not paying back the borough quote, stolen money, is a fine. And I think that we all need to move forward. It's been in the newspaper, it's been on social media, it's been addressed tonight. And Mrs. Saunders, thank you for your comment.
No resignation, no call for resignation.
Am I calling for somebody's resignation?
Are you
Did you
calling for
hear my
somebody's
comment at the
resignation?
beginning? I believe that findings do not preclude any elected official and or employee from having to resign.
But having a personal opinion about anything on Twitter did. She did not ask for a check from Antifa. That
She
is,
put that in writing.
she
I'm
said,
sorry.
where's my check? It's a joke. If you can't, I appreciate you're a fossil, but you can't understand how Twitter works.
You just got mad, bitch.
Mrs. Saunders, thank you for bringing up my age. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm very proud to be 75 and moving on to 76.
Better than she does.
Does anybody else wish to address council and like to know anything else about their lives?
Have a good night.
I got a question. I do.
Moving on.
I got a question.
Yes, Mrs. Leo has a question.
She walked out.
Hi, Theo McCleary. Circling back to Edgemont, sorry, beating the dead horse. But whatever's going on with Edgemont doesn't look like it ends at Parkside border. It goes deep into Chester. Does anyone reach out to Chester and see if they're doing anything? Because if they do, you can just piggyback on what they're doing.
We, unfortunately, this is PennDOT, 352 is PennDOT.
Right.
We have always, and I can go back into my fossil memory. At one time, we coordinated with the city of Chester to do our road program on their half of the street and our half of the street, and we took it all. We've also coordinated with the Borough of Upland to work with them on their road program and our program. Needless to say, it does save us money
Right.
and it saves them money.
Right.
So our engineer is fantastic with communication, and maybe we can work on something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they're just as bad as us. I'm pretty, they may already have something in the works. So,
And it never hurts to ask, all they can say is no.
so like that.
Super, thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Last call for call to citizens, and we will move on so we can go into an executive session. Need a cigarette, I know. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going into old business. Signature pages for TD Bank accounts have been signed and returned to the bank. Signature pages for Sharon Bank have been completed. As I mentioned very briefly, Mr. Platt, Mr. Bull, and myself had several issues with the two banks. As our wonderful treasurer knows, she was very supportive. The prior council did not remove prior employees as signers on our checking account or savings. So we first had to deal with eliminating prior personnel, then moving on to add and replace other persons. Does anybody on council have any old business? Because we're going to keep it moving. Almost my bedtime.
That's his.
Oh, sorry. We have and we're going on to new business. I'm going to make a motion to ratify the attached appointments for council. I'm going to do this by group. And if anyone has an issue on the selection by group, please let me know, and then we will vote on that specific selection. I'd like to make a motion to appoint to the following positions: Chair Pro Temp Doug Bull, Secretary Robert Platt, Treasurer Brinker Simpson, Engineer Catania Engineering, Solicitor John J. Wills. And I need a second.
Second.
Any questions or concern for this block of appointments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
All, did I hear a no?
I said yes.
I'm sorry?
You said
I said
yes.
yes.
Okay. All those in favor, all those opposed? So moved. The next block of appointments will be Health Officer Delaware County Board of Health and Dr. R. Kroll. Building Inspector, Floodplain Administrator, and Zoning, Joseph Ferguson. Auditor, Letzel and Echidniditis. Thank you. I never can do that. 25 years, I still can't get it out. Insurance broker, AJ Gallagher. Plumbing inspector, Harry Kent. Electrical inspector, James Skalski. I'd like to make a motion to appoint those persons.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions or concerns on any of those appointments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
All those opposed? So moved. The next category will be our code safety officer. I'm going to make a motion to appoint Dominic Capabianco. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Platt, will you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Bull, absent. Mr. Capabianco,
Abstain.
Mr. Costigan,
No.
Mrs. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Mrs. Percival,
Yes.
Mrs. Skrobak.
Yes.
4 yeses, 1 no, 1 absent, 1 abstention.
Let the record reflect Mr. Costigan voted no, Mr. Capabianco abstained. I'm going to entertain a motion to appoint for emergency management and fire marshal Daniel Smith. Entertain a motion.
Second.
Any questions or concern on the motion for fire marshal emergency management? Mr. Platt, would you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Bull, absent. Mr. Capabianco,
Yes.
Mr. Costigan,
Yes.
Mrs. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Mrs. Percival,
Yes.
Mrs. Skrobak.
Yes.
We got 6 yeas.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, 6 yeas, 1 absent.
The next block of appointments will be, I'm going to entertain a motion to appoint Roadmaster Ryan Cornog, Civil Service and Zoning Robert O'Connor, as the Solicitor Webmaster Theo McCleary, Computer IT Steve Gina Cristoforo, Vacancy Chair Allison Genekis.
Come on over here.
Second.
Another puzzle.
Any questions or concerns on that block of personnel appointments? Mr.
Is there a motion?
I did.
I need-
I did. I did.
Okay, and seconded.
Do we have a second on the motion?
Second on the motion.
Second.
Thank you.
A motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote then.
Mr. Platt, would you do a roll call vote one more time?
Mr. Bull is absent. Mr. Capabianco.
Yes.
Mr. Costigan,
Yes.
Mrs. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Mrs. Percival,
Yes.
Mrs. Skrobak.
Yes.
6
For
yeas,
those-
1 absent.
Thank you. For those members that abstained or did not vote, please make sure you pass down at the end of the meeting your forms for this one. Next, I'll entertain a motion to waive the trash fee for the 100% disabled veteran and thank him for his services.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? So moved. I will make a motion to release the fourth quarter from 2023 check to the fire company in the amount of $37,500.
Second.
Mr. Platt, would you do a roll call?
I have a question. on
Yes,
that.
I'm sorry.
What, maybe this is for the treasurer, but I know at the end of last year, there was some conflict with the fire company about the checks and their finances, and we were requesting documents from them. Did we ever get those documents?
So we received the documents that they had on site, and then I have a meeting scheduled March 1st with the individual who's helping them with their nonprofit status. to look at the rest of the documents.
Okay, and are you satisfied with the progress that they've made?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been good.
May I add that check, matter of fact, all 4 quarter checks were pre-approved and passed, weren't they?
In the budget.
In the budget? Okay.
And that's why we're distributing. Mr. Costigan, you were not here for the last meeting. However, the treasurer is almost at the end of the analysis. And I will not get into details because her report is not finished and it's not appropriate to make comments at this point. But I think I can say with assurance that there is no $80,000 or $90,000 missing. So that's why we're releasing these funds.
I
Mr.
really didn't steal it then?
I'm sorry?
I really didn't steal it then?
No, you did not.
Mr. Platt, would you please do a
Good
roll
news.
call vote on the release of the fourth quarter 2023 check for the firehouse?
Mr. Bull is absent. Mr. Capabianco.
Abstain.
Mr. Costigan.
Yes.
Mrs. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Powers.
Abstain.
Mrs. Percival.
Yes.
Mrs. Skrobak.
Abstain.
I have 3 yeses, 3 abstentions, 1 absent.
Super, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to increase the cleaning to the police department to a monthly cost of $225 per month. We were only cleaning quarterly and with their type of clientele, we feel that they need to be cleaned a little more efficiently and monthly. So I'll entertain that motion to increase the monthly cleaning at the police department.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Oh,
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Lastly, I'll entertain a motion to accept the proposal from Moyer Pest Control to set traps, monitor our woodlot area for rodents.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Just for record, it's $400.
Yes, I was getting there.
Sorry.
Questions on the motion? Let me say, because we own the woodlot, the residents along that hill area have been concerned that their rodent problem may be stemming from our property. And in accordance with the UCC Property Maintenance Code 302.5, it is our responsibility or a homeowner's responsibility to correct a rodent problem that is now infringing on somebody else's property. So that this invoice or motion for $400 will include 8 visits and numerous traps. We are not using poison. Obviously, there's wildlife there, children, dogs, etc. So anybody else have a comment?
Just again, please do not feed wildlife.
Please do not feed the wildlife. All those in favor to accept the proposal?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. Does anyone on council have any new business, old business, or odd business?
Make a motion to.
I would just. I know. Just to remind the public that all the appointees that were made this evening serve at the pleasure of Borough Council. They are subject to dismissal at any time and for just about any reason or for no reason at all.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an executive session meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn and council, you've got 5 minutes and then we're going back at it.
Right.